Hello students, welcome to Well Explained PDF. Today I am here with class 10th biology, chapter 1 life processes, introduction and respiration in plants. Today we are going to deal with the life process respiration, and in this lecture we'll discuss about the respiration, what are the types of respiration and respiration in plants. Now students, first of all, we must know what is respiration. The process of releasing energy from the food is called as respiration. It is the process of releasing energy by the oxidation of food. We have learned about nutrition, and in nutrition we learned about the digestion process. The food that we eat is changed into simple soluble substances so that they can be utilized for the release of energy, and that food, when it oxidizes, means it combines with oxygen, it releases energy in the form of ATPs, and this is respiration. Now, why respiration is essential? What is the need of respiration? Respiration is essential because it provides energy for carrying out all the life processes. Means, whatever life processes we are going to study in this chapter, that is nutrition, respiration, circulation and excretion, also control and coordination, all the internal as well as the external processes or the functions which our body is performing, it all requires energy. So it is essential because it provides energy for carrying out all the life processes which are necessary to keep the organism alive. That means it is necessary for the internal processes to go on. Now, all living things respire. Okay, this is a characteristic feature of all living things, that they respire. You must have learned about the characteristics of living things or the living organisms in your previous classes. This is one of the main characteristics, they respire. Now, respiration is a process. It is not a single process. It includes breathing also. That is the exchange of gases. That is inhalation and exhalation. So breathing is the first step in the process of respiration. Some people, they confuse, they mix up this respiration with breathing. They think that respiration and breathing is one and the same thing, but it is not so. Breathing is the movement of air in and out of the body, and vice versa. Okay, that is taking in of oxygen rich air, giving out carbon dioxide rich air is known as breathing. For examples, animals such as earthworms, they breathe through their skin, that is the moist skin. Fishes use gills for breathing, and plants exchange gases through tiny pores called stomata, which are present mainly on the surface of the leaves. And we human beings, we breathe through our lungs. The respiratory system actually, which comprises of nose, nostrils, windpipe and lungs, that is mainly for the exchange of gases. And actually respiration takes place in an organelle known as mitochondria. That is why the mitochondria is known as the powerhouse of the cell, because it is the only place where respiration takes place, that is the food is oxidized to release energy. Or respiration. This is a process in which complex organic substances like carbohydrates, protein, fats, they are broken down to release carbon dioxide and water. Overall respiration process may be represented as glucose plus oxygen will produce carbon dioxide, water and 686 kilocalories of energy. Here in this equation, the substrate is a carbohydrate, that is glucose is a carbohydrate, but substrate may be carbohydrate, fats, and in certain conditions protein may also be used as a substrate to release energy. But usually whenever we talk about respiration and we study about the equations of respiration, we take simplest sugar, that is the glucose, as the substrate. Carbohydrates are firstly, they are hydrolyzed by the appropriate enzyme system to the hexose sugar. Hexose sugar is the glucose, that is C6H12 O6. And what are the actively respiring regions? They are the growing regions like floral and vegetative birds. They are the germinating seeds, stems and root apices. Now coming to types of respiration. There are two types of respiration, anaerobic respiration and aerobic respiration. This you have studied in your earlier classes also. Now comparing the aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration is the respiration in which oxygen is used. That is, the respiration which takes place in the presence of oxygen is known as aerobic respiration. Whereas in anaerobic respiration, oxygen is not utilized for the process. That is, the respiration which takes place in the absence of oxygen is known as anaerobic respiration. This aerobic respiration takes place in the cells of all the higher plants and animals, whereas anaerobic respiration takes place in some bacteria, fungi, and certain endoparasites. In aerobic respiration, glucose is completely oxidized to release energy, whereas in anaerobic respiration, glucose is partially oxidized. In aerobic respiration, the end products are carbon dioxide and water, whereas in anaerobic respiration, the end products are carbon dioxide and either ethyl alcohol or lactic acid. Either ethyl alcohol or lactic acid means if this anaerobic respiration is taking place in a plant body, then ethyl alcohol is produced, whereas if it is taking place in animal cells, then lactic acid is produced. Here the complete oxidation of one molecule takes place, whereas partial oxidation of one molecule of glucose yields only 2 ATP molecules. In this complete oxidation of one molecule of glucose, it yields 38 ATP molecules. ATP is the adenosine triphosphate, which is known as the energy currency of the cell. So in aerobic respiration, 38 ATP molecules of energy is produced, whereas in anaerobic respiration, a considerable low amount of energy is produced, which is only 2 ATP. Now, this aerobic respiration takes place both in cytoplasm and mitochondria of the cell, whereas anaerobic respiration takes place only in the cytoplasm of the cell. So these are the differences between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration. Now, anaerobic respiration. As we have already studied, anaerobic respiration is one in which glucose is partially oxidized without using oxygen to yield lactic acid or ethyl alcohol and energy. If it is alcoholic fermentation, then this glucose changes into ethyl alcohol, carbon dioxide plus energy. Energy is in the form of 2 ATP. Okay. Whereas if this is taking place in an animal cell, then it is known as lactic acid fermentation. Fermentation is actually a type of anaerobic respiration. In this, glucose is converted into lactic acid and 2 ATPs are produced. Now, fermentation is actually anaerobic respiration by microorganisms. Examples of fermentation are alcohol, lactic acid, and acetic acid fermentation. In this process, stored food is oxidized to certain compounds instead of carbon dioxide and water. As if it is alcoholic fermentation, it will produce alcohol. As you can see in this case, ethyl alcohol is produced. If it is lactic acid fermentation, the lactic acid will be produced. And if it is acetic acid fermentation, as in the case of acetic acid, जैसे सिरका बनाते हैं ना acetic acid by the fermentation of the sugarcane juice or jaggery juice. So in that case, acetic acid is formed. Now, aerobic respiration. In this, stored food gets completely oxidized to carbon dioxide and water with the release of some energy. Some energy means 38 ATPs of energy is produced. This is the equation C6H12O6, that is glucose plus oxygen will form carbon dioxide, water and 686 kilocalories of energy. Aerobic respiration is one in which molecular oxygen is used for the complete oxidation of glucose, 2 carbon dioxide, water, and 38 ATP molecules. And for aerobic respiration, what are the raw materials? Glucose and oxygen. What are the products? 38 ATPs or 686 kilocalories or 2870 kilojoules of energy, and this carbon dioxide which is produced is a byproduct in this aerobic respiration. Okay. Now what is ATP? As mitochondria are known as the powerhouse of the cells, that means the energy is generated in the mitochondria. Similarly, ATP is known as the energy currency of the cell. It is known as energy currency of cell. That means energy is stored in the cell in the form of ATP. ATP is energy-rich organic compound which stores biologically usable form of energy. Universal carrier of chemical energy in the living world. This is ATP is the universal carrier of chemical energy. It is also known as energy currency of cells, as I have told you earlier. And energy released when ATP is hydrolyzed to ADP and AMP. ATP is adenosine triphosphate. This is adenosine diphosphate, and this is adenosine monophosphate. The ATP, when it combines with water, it releases 7.3 kilocalories of energy, and it forms ADP and inorganic phosphate. Energy is stored when ADP and AMP are phosphorylized to ADP. Phosphorylized means if phosphorus is added, 2 phosphorus added to AMP and 1 to ADP, what is formed? Adenosine triphosphate is formed, and energy is stored in this. If it gets hydrolyzed, then energy is released. When it gets phosphorylized, then energy is stored in the ATP. Now coming to respiration in plants. As we all know, there are a lot of differences between plants and animals. Plants और animals में इतने सारे differences हैं क्योंकि plants inactive होते हैं, that means they are fixed at a place, they do not need much amount of energy. As plants are less active than animals, they need lower energy requirement because they are fixed at a place. And the gaseous exchange occurs mainly in the leaves because of the large surface area to volume ratio. In fact, gaseous exchange can take place. Gaseous exchange in plants takes place with the help of stomata. The stomata may be present on the green stems also. Sometimes in woody stems, lenticels are there, there are openings. Through that also gaseous exchange can take place. And the process by which the gaseous exchange takes place in plants through stomata and lenticels is known as simple diffusion. You know what is diffusion? Diffusion is the movement of substances from a region of higher concentration to lower concentration. So by simple diffusion, this gaseous exchange takes place in plants. Now there are two types of gaseous exchange. One is gaseous exchange in light and the other is gaseous exchange in the dark. So we are going to study these one by one. First of all, gaseous exchange in light. Okay. In light, we know sunlight is available, so photosynthesis will take place. So during photosynthesizing, the carbon dioxide in the airspace of the spongy layer falls below the 0.04% because carbon dioxide, whenever there is light photosynthesis is taking place. Light में photosynthesis हो रहा है, that means carbon dioxide is used up during that process. And the percentage of carbon dioxide falls in the airspace of the spongy layer and it reaches up to 0.04%. अब अंदर जो है percentage of carbon dioxide कम हो गई. Carbon dioxide की percentage कहाँ पर है? ज़्यादा बाहर. That is, carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, it will enter to the stomata and then to the spongy layer. At the same time, oxygen in the cells through stomata goes to the atmosphere because during photosynthesis, what is produced? Oxygen is produced. This oxygen which is produced, a little amount of it is used by the plant for respiration. But the most of the part of that oxygen produced during photosynthesis, it comes out to the atmosphere through the stomata. That means the gaseous exchange in the plant takes place through stomata. During the light, when there is light, gaseous exchange in light, during when the daytime, both respiration and photosynthesis they are taking place, and the rate of both process depends on the light intensity. If the light is more, then the photosynthesis will be more. Now coming to gaseous exchange in the dark. Now dark means at night. At night what happens? There is no sunlight, that means no photosynthesis takes place. Only which process is taking place? Respiration. So respiration alone is taking place at night or in the dark. So less oxygen inside the spongy layer than outside. The oxygen from atmosphere, because no photosynthesis is there. The oxygen is not produced, the concentration of oxygen is less in the spongy layer. From outside, that is oxygen from the atmosphere, it enters through lenticels or stomata and it reaches to the spongy layer, and after respiration, what is produced? Carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide from the cell respiration through lenticels or stomata, it comes out in the atmosphere. Means at the dark, what happens? Oxygen from outside, it enters inside the plant body, in the spongy layer, and carbon dioxide, which is produced during respiration, it comes out of the plant body. Okay. Now, aerobic respiration in plants. The gaseous exchange can be investigated in the dark. Because in the daytime it cannot be investigated. Why? Because whatever carbon dioxide is produced during respiration, it is utilized by the plant for photosynthesis, and whatever oxygen is produced, it is released out. But so this cannot be clearly investigated in the light. So this is the only time where, that is in the dark, we can investigate the gaseous exchange. That is, glucose plus oxygen will produce carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. This aerobic respiration carry out throughout the day and night. Okay, whatever is the time, respiration means photosynthesis occurs only the daytime, whereas respiration takes place in the day as well as at night. In the light, photosynthesis is faster than respiration. Carbon dioxide produced is quickly used up by the photosynthesis. Means daytime में दोनों हो रहे हैं, respiration भी हो रहा है, photosynthesis भी हो रहा है. But respiration में जो carbon dioxide produce हो रहा है, हो रही है, वो photosynthesis में use up हो जाती है, because photosynthesis is faster during the daytime. Now in anaerobic respiration in plants, it occurs when oxygen is absent, that is, in the absence of oxygen. Examples, as we have already studied, alcoholic fermentation. It occurs, and in this acetic acid fermentation can be also be given example, whereas lactic acid fermentation will be given example during the anaerobic respiration in animals. It occurs in certain situations, that is flooding, initial stages of germination. Flooding, why? Because when flood comes, the water is all filled in the roots. Okay, so the roots of the plants, they respire anaerobically at that time because air is not available to them for respiration. Glucose, it breaks down into ethanol, that is ethyl alcohol, C2H5OH plus carbon dioxide plus energy. Only 2 ATPs are produced. Examples of anaerobic respiration are young rice plants. You can give example of yeast cells also. Now, when we compare respiration and photosynthesis, actually, if we see, the respiration is the reverse of photosynthesis. How? In photosynthesis, carbon dioxide plus water, they prepare glucose, okay, C6H12O6 plus oxygen plus water. Whereas in respiration, this glucose along with oxygen, it breaks down, means this oxygen breaks down the glucose to produce carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. Respiration uses the product of photosynthesis, whereas photosynthesis uses the product of respiration. How? In respiration, what is produced? Carbon dioxide, which gets used by the plants in photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, what is produced? Oxygen, which is used by the plants during the process of respiration. Now, what is light intensity and the compensation point? In dark, there is no photosynthesis. Respiration continues. That is, carbon dioxide is formed and it is released. In light, what happens? Light intensity increase, the rate of photosynthesis increase. That, and we have already studied this is respiration and photosynthesis that takes place side by side during the daytime. Okay, at night there is no photosynthesis, but during the day both are there. So what is compensation point? It compensation point is reached when all the carbon dioxide produced in respiration by the plant is reused by photosynthesis and there is no net loss or gain in carbon dioxide. Means जितने कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड रेस्पिरेशन में प्रोड्यूस हो रही है वो सारी प्लांट यूज कर रहा है इन फोटोसिंथेसिस एंड देयर इज नो नेट लॉस और गेन. इफ दिस पॉइंट reaches, this point is known as compensation point. That is the light intensity at which the rate of carbon dioxide uptake, that is rate of photosynthesis, is exactly equal to the rate of carbon dioxide production, that is rate of respiration. That is both the processes, photosynthesis as well as the respiration, they are taking place at equal intensity, at equal rate. Now respiration in roots. Roots, the underground part of the plant, we know. They absorb air from the air gaps or the spaces found between the soil particles. You can see in the soil particles, these are the roots, okay, and these are the air gaps. Means the spaces which are present in the soil particle, the air which is trapped, they get into the root. Hence, absorbed oxygen through roots is utilized to liberate energy that in the future is used to transport salt and minerals from the soil. Now, respiration in stems. Respiration in stem, in the air in the case of stem diffuses into the stomata. Stomata in the herbaceous stem, and if it is means woody stem, so these are lenticels, and it moves through different parts of the cell to respire. During this stage, the carbon dioxide liberated is also diffused through the stomata. Lenticels are known to perform gaseous exchange in woody or higher plants. If they are monocots having herbaceous stem, very soft stem, means stomata are present over there. The gaseous exchange through diffusion takes place through stomata. But if they are higher plants or woody stems are there, then lenticels are used for these gaseous exchange. You can see this hard woody stem and these are the openings. These are the lenticels which are present on the woody stem through which the gaseous exchange takes place. Okay, gases in, gases out, and depends on the concentration diffusion. Okay. Now, in respiration in leaves, the leaves of plants have tiny pores on their surface which are known as stomata. Hence, in leaves, respiration takes place through stomata. The exchange of gases in the leaves during respiration takes place through stomata. And this oxygen is used in respiration in cells of the leaf. The carbon dioxide produced during diffuses out from the leaf into the air through the same stomata. Okay. And if it is daytime, this carbon dioxide is used up in the process of photosynthesis. You can see during daytime photosynthesis, and this is respiration day and night. This is taking place day and night. Now we know respiration in leaves. It occurs during the daytime as well as at night. But on the other hand, photosynthesis occurs only during the daytime. That means no photosynthesis is taking place at night. Due to this, the net gaseous exchange in the leaves is as follows. So these 2 points you have to remember. Now during the daytime, when photosynthesis occurs, oxygen is produced. The leaves use some of this oxygen for respiration and the rest of the oxygen diffuses out in the air. Again during the daytime, carbon dioxide produced by respiration, because in the day photosynthesis and respiration both are taking place. So during photosynthesis, what is produced? Oxygen. Some of it is used for respiration, whereas the rest of it diffuses out in the air. Whereas during daytime, carbon dioxide is produced by respiration. It is all used up in photosynthesis by the leaves. Even more carbon dioxide is taken in from air. Therefore, thus the net gaseous exchange in leaves during daytime is oxygen diffuses out, whereas carbon dioxide diffuses in. That is why it is said that plants purify the air by providing oxygen to the atmosphere. How it provides oxygen to the atmosphere? Through the process of photosynthesis. Now, what happens at night? There is no photosynthesis. Hence, no oxygen is produced. So, oxygen from air diffuses in to carry out respiration. अब रात में तो photosynthesis हो नहीं रहा, तो photosynthesis नहीं हो रहा, तो respiration के लिए oxygen is not available by the process of photosynthesis. So what happens? Oxygen from outside atmosphere, it diffuses in to carry out respiration, and whatever carbon dioxide is produced by respiration, it diffuses out into the air. अगर यही दिन होता तो ये कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड फोटोसिंथेसिस में यूज हो जाती, बट क्योंकि दिन नहीं है, रात है, फोटोसिंथेसिस हो नहीं रहा है, तो ऑक्सीजन एटमॉस्फेयर से अंदर आ रही है और कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड अंदर से बाहर एटमॉस्फेयर में जा रही है. So the net gaseous exchange in leaves at night is oxygen diffuses in, carbon dioxide diffuses out. Okay, that is why it is advised not to sleep under a tree at night time. Why? Because the trees are giving carbon dioxide at that time. That carbon dioxide is not at all healthy for us. So what is the difference between respiration and photosynthesis? This process, this photosynthesis, is common to all the green plants containing chlorophyll pigments, whereas respiration is common to all living things including plant, animals, birds, etc. In photosynthesis, food is synthesized, wherein respiration, food is oxidized. In this, energy is stored. In respiration, energy is released. Photosynthesis is an anabolic process, where it is a catabolic process. Respiration is a catabolic process because it is leading to the breakdown of something, okay, with the release of energy. Whereas in anabolic process, because something is synthesized, few reactants, they combine to form a product. In both the cases, cytochromes are required. You will study what are cytochromes, you will study in high classes. It is an endothermal process. Endothermal process means energy is absorbed, whereas it is an exothermal process, that is energy is released. Exo means exit ho rahi hai, bahar. Thermal means energy, heat. Heat is evolved. Now, photosynthesis comprises products such as water, oxygen and sugar, whereas it comprises products such as carbon dioxide and hydrogen. Radiant energy is converted into potential energy. Potential energy, why? Because the energy is stored inside the body of, the organs of the plant. Okay, whereas in this case, the energy which was stored, that is potential energy, is converted into kinetic energy, that is energy released. We can use it to do our work. Photosynthesis occurs during daytime in the presence of sunlight only, whereas respiration is a continuous process taking place all through the lifetime, day and night. So these are the differences between photosynthesis and respiration. Now that's all for this section. Hope you understood and you are liking my channel. Please subscribe it. Press the bell icon so whenever a new video is uploaded, you get the notifications. Till then, keep watching, keep learning. Thanks to all. God bless you all.